Target has lowered the bar for workers to stop thefts to as little as $50. According to Bloomberg, store staff can now seek to halt incidents of theft worth at least $50, lower than the previous threshold of $100, people familiar with the matter said, asking not to be identified discussing private company policy. I always think that's interesting. The new guideline is expected to be enforced this summer, those same people said. And my question, do you think Target's new theft guidelines will have a meaningful impact on actually reducing theft? Or is this just another float in the recent parade of Target headlines signifying nothing?
I don't know how this could possibly change theft reduction. And
100% agree.
instead it just raises some really big questions for me. One, what harm does this potentially open up associates to? Like
Right.
$100 to $50, like you're going to now encourage your associates who are already strapped to now be like, let me see, 10 tank tops they just took off of that whole shelf and 10 times 8, like should I go after like this, just the amount of stuff to be going through people's minds right now when they're already having a huge list just to keep keep the shelves stocked. Like, how are you telling your associates to be prioritizing tasks that make the biggest impact on the business? I don't understand how this can be. I don't understand why this is even something that they're moving down to. Somebody please explain it to me. I just think, again, we talked about this a million times, but why aren't we hearing tests about singular entry and exit points? Like that seems like a much better use of an associate's time than having them now try to figure out if it's a $50 item or a $100 item and whether or not they should approach somebody. I I don't know, Chris. I just am baffled
Amen.
by it. I mean,
Amen.
I can't even be coherent in my thoughts. I'm just so confused. And you know what? The last thing I'm going to
What? Yeah,
add is,
keep going. You're on a roll.
how is Target headquarters not being held accountable for shrink and other contributing factors when it comes to like the sales declines? Like we don't hear anything about that too. And all we're hearing about is like now it's just more on these poor associates that are working
Yep.
in stores.
Yeah.
You have the experience here. Like you work
Well,
in these Target stores, you know what's going on. I'm sure you have friends that you've
I
talked to
did
about
ask
this,
some of
but
my
like
friends, yes, like
what's
similar to last
happening?
week. Yeah, well, I think, to your point about Target headquarters, they are being held accountable through the stock price. And the way this story has come out makes me think this was an quote unquote intentional leak. At least that's what I'm thinking right now. Like to get some like get the analysts going, oh, they're lowering their thresholds. That'll help, like, come on. Like your point is dead right. And there's two reasons it's not going to do a damn thing. One, or there's one big reason it's not going to do a damn thing. And then there's another reason I don't like, which is the same one that you mentioned too, which the first one is the local authorities are too strapped to deal with the current amount of
Right.
shoplifting. So now you're going to add even more cases because now you're lowering the threshold. So nothing is going to happen from this. Absolutely zero. And that's basically what my friends out in the field told me. They're like, this is not going to do anything. But the point I really don't like is like, you're now branding that theft is an issue in your stores and you're telling your stores associates they need to be more vigilant on it. So now it's just going to lead to bad things, Ann, right? Like, you're going to see a case where some like, Joe security guard is going to be like, oh, you've got $25 or something. I need to stop you now. It seems like there's going to be more of a predilection for people to take action, which is something I don't like because it doesn't get at the fundamental problem like you're saying. Like you need to come up with new solutions, new ideas. That's what we need here. So yeah, I'm 100% with you, Ann.
Yeah, I don't understand it. And I just the like what is the difference that $50 makes? Like why that number? What like wouldn't you just have a policy overall of like if you see somebody shoplifting something, here's the protocol. Like I don't know. We did not have that when I was working in stores. It was just like the associate is the most important thing. You report it to the authorities. You have a security guard to try to prevent it, but it's not, I
Well,
mean,
yeah, and
what's
now
a
the risk
16
the
year old
risk of
employee going to do?
confrontation is so high too. Like the risk of confrontation and escalation is so high too that now you're kind of that's what I don't like about it. You're kind of telling people like, okay, now you should be focused on even lesser amounts of theft, but yet if you go and you confront them that the risk of escalation is higher. And I don't like that. I don't like that environment. I don't want to work in that. And for me, I'd just be like, yeah, let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go. I
Yeah.
don't care if it's $25, $50, $100. Let it go. We got to come up with a different answer, right?
Yeah, absolutely.